Top stories tonight. FCT Minister Nyesom Wike dismisses claim he will quit People's Democratic Party. Again, ASU insists on 21-day strike notice over unfulfilled 2009 agreement. Long queues continue across Nigeria as petrol shortage enters third day. Former Tunisian presidential hopeful arrested over illegal border crossing. Thank you for joining us. I'm Felicity Ezewike. Let's begin with political matters. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has dismissed claims that he is on the verge of joining the All Progressive Congress APC. The minister, during a media chat in Abuja, bared his mind on several issues, including the crisis in Rivers State, South Nigeria, accusing the governor of willfully disregarding the laws of the state and refusing to obey court orders, barring him from several unconstitutional actions. Amadine Uyi reports.
The media chat was an opportunity by the FCT minister of bearing his opinion on national issues, matters related to the crisis in the People's Democratic Party, and his impasse with the governor of Rivers State. He cleared the air on infrastructural development in satellite communities in the federal capital.
In all the rural areas today, which has not been the case, you can't find roads. And how do you talk about agriculture when there's no road? How do you convey the produce? How? So we make sure that, look, if we're really talking about agriculture, there must also be road infrastructure. That's why if you go to the 6 area councils, go and see the openings. Go and see the openings.
He also described the events in his native Rivers State as impunity by the governor, accusing him of willfully disregarding several court orders, calling him to stop his actions.
That you want to take control of a state. It's natural in politics. Is that why you should allow impunity? A court pronouncing that you did not build budget. Whatever budget you said you have, it's not on the void. And you say we should fold our arms and then watch. Nobody should say anything. I have no problem. Let court make a pronouncement.
He then dismissed questions asking him of his intention to quit the People's Democratic Party, saying he will see the end of the crisis.
I have told you that I don't want to wait for any fight. I will stay there. Where? I will fight it out.
In the PDP?
Yes. Who am I going to run for? The vampires? How can you say that? Anybody who knows me knows too well. If I want to join APC today, when I was there in PDP, didn't I say that, look, I will not support the presidential candidate? Did I do it secretly? All those people who are saying those things, did they bring one member that won election? I'm a PDP member.
Right.
The law must be followed before we go. But if you think that you can go and sit down somewhere and say you will do this, you cause crisis for yourself.
All right.
The minister says that the FCT is investing in agriculture and has concluded plans to go into large-scale cultivation of farmlands to boost food security. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
The opposition People's Democratic Party, PDP, has thrown its weight behind the call for former President Goodluck Jonathan to join the presidential race for 2027. 4 days ago, Bauchi State Governor, Senator Bala Mohammed, also lent his voice to the agitation, vowing to jettison his presidential ambition if Jonathan agrees to contest. Reacting in an interview, the Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Ibrahim Abdullahi, said the positions of the Bauchi State Governor and Northern elites resonated with the opposition party. When reminded that the decision may not go down well with the PDP former presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar, who has been labeled a serial contester by the ruling All Progressive Congress, the PDP spokesman kicked. But the ruling APC disagreed, saying it was too early for any party to be talking about 2027. In the meantime, the People's Democratic Party has inaugurated 2 critical committees to enforce discipline within the party and promote unity. The committees inaugurated at the PDP National Secretariat in Abuja includes the Reconciliation Committee, chaired by former Governor of Osun State, Olagunsoye Oyinlola, and the Disciplinary Committee, chaired by Tom Ikimi. News Centre's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
Another convergence of the largest opposition party in Nigeria, the People's Democratic Party. The PDP has inaugurated 2 critical committees, which are a Reconciliation Committee and a Disciplinary Committee. The Reconciliation Committee, according to the party, will collaborate with other party organs to resolve internal disputes and conflicts, foster harmony among members, and promote cohesion. The Disciplinary Committee, on the other hand, is tasked with addressing misconduct and ensuring accountability within the party.
The fact that your act can injure the party. You know about Damagun, I may leave tomorrow, but the party is still there. I know this seat is a hot seat. My predecessors have had the same this thing. I'm taking my own version, of the heat. I'm not deterred.
The leaders of the new committees assured party faithful that they will uphold laid down ethics and values.
May I use this opportunity to express my profound thanks to all these members of the committee for their wonderful cooperation and dedication to all our tasks. The Disciplinary Committee can only operate as directed by the National Working Committee. All matters that were referred to the main committee since its inauguration were promptly attended to. I was aware, of course, of so many matters freely discussed in the public domain, but they were never referred to the committee.
I, therefore, appeal to all of us here and millions of our followers at home, north and south, to let us recognize that our differences can and should be used as a spur to recreate the party back into its pristine reputation as a winning machine.
The inauguration, according to many party faithfuls, marks the significant milestones in the party's commitment to good governance, national well-being, and resolving its internal disputes. In Abuja for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
The governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, has insisted that despite speculators of his dumping of the People's Democratic Party over the ongoing political crisis in the state, Rivers is still a PDP-controlled state. Governor Fubara made the reaffirmation when a delegation of the Board of Trustees of the PDP, led by the chairman, Adolphus Wabara, visited him at the Government House in Port Harcourt on Tuesday. News Centre's correspondent, Austin Azu, completes the report.
Rivers State has been embroiled in political crisis, from the state lawmakers that allegedly defected to the APC and tenure allegation for elected local government chairmen that were replaced with caretaker committee chairmen by the governor, thereby leading place to take over the 23 council secretariat complexes. This development, however, created speculations that Governor Siminalayi Fubara would want to settle his political differences by leaving the PDP for APC, the party at the national level.
As we speak, a new caretaker is being...
In search of peace and unity of the PDP in the states, a delegation of the Board of Trustees of the party, who are scared of losing Rivers State, are here at Government House in Port Harcourt to seek a way forward for the party in the state, especially as they galvanize towards 2027 general elections.
But we, as elders of this party, decided to come to hear from the horse's mouth. First of all, we want to thank you for still being there, because this party should not be allowed to die.
Governor Fubara, who expressed satisfaction over the visit, said he doubted his membership of the PDP at some time, but the visitation from the BOT has offered a stronger conviction that he is a member of the PDP family. He further maintains that in such efforts to search out the truth, it remains vital for them to understand how passionately he cherishes the importance of information and the need to stay on the path of truth.
Happy that today they are with us here to discuss the issue of Rivers State. And I want to assure members of our party, genuine members of PDP that are here with us, that this is another hope to show that our decision to stand by the party, still standing by the party, is not the wrong decision.
Briefing newsmen after the meeting with the governor and other elders and leaders of the PDP in the state, Wambara expressed appreciation to Governor Fubara for giving them the opportunity to hear his own side of the story, and noted with optimism that the political crisis in the state will soon be resolved.
We discussed, and I think we are properly guided, now. So the BOT will, in its stride, move on, to ensure that there is peace in this state, there is peace in the party, and there is unity.
The chairman, however, emphasized that based on its findings, the BOT will make its recommendations to the National Working Committee of the PDP for implementation, bearing in mind that the party must be united to win the 2027 elections. In Port Harcourt for News Central, Austin Azu.
Many thanks, Austin. Coming up, again, ASU insist on 21-day strike notice. We'll bring you details after the break. Do stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Let's quickly circle back to the story about calls for former President Goodluck Jonathan to run for presidential election come 2027. For that conversation, we're joined by Nelson Ekujumi. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for having me. Good evening, Nigerians.
All right. Calls for the former president to run in 2027. Is it too early, like the APC is alleging, or do you think it's never too early to start thinking about the future?
Well, I think it's a mixed bag. You want to think that we're just a year into the present administration, that if anybody is interested in running for that office, that one should wait for the political activities to kick off. But knowing politicians for who they are, it is not out of place that even immediately after the last election, that some people are already dusting, their boots and ready to enter into the ring again for another electoral activity. So if you ask me, I think it is too early, but if people feel that they want to throw their heart into the ring, well, it's not unconstitutional. It's within their power. It's within their rights, if you ask me. So I don't see the call as having any effect on the political temperature.
All right,
it's one of those things you expect from politicians to do.
Now that we've established that, what is the viability of a Jonathan presidency at this time in our national life, from your perspective, based off what we've known of his term as president?
Well, the political space is one in which you cannot predict what can happen. But if you ask me, if you go into history, I would advise the former president to not allow people to desecrate his name in view of the type of international acclaim he has won for conceding electoral defeats after the elections in 2015. So if he wants to throw his hat into the ring based on people's prompting, well, like his name, I would say good luck to him.
Okay, disparaging words have been used to describe the presidential ambition of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. With these calls coming up, and then his name was mentioned, people were wondering if he will be willing to step aside. Do you think that come 2027, he still has the ambition to continue with his presidential pursuit? Okay, I'm afraid we'll have to pause that conversation and maybe take it up another time, but it is still a viable one to discuss. For the moment, let's move on to the Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center and the Transparency International. They're talking. They've described the recent allegations bordering on terrorism and treason leveled against the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress via the Nigerian police as a desperate attempt to silence the labor union. The two organizations, while reiterating their support for the police in its effort against crime, however, frowned at the invitation of the labor leader. News Centre's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
Members of the organized labor chanting songs of solidarity, expressing their determination to defend their leader, currently on the radar of the Nigerian police, bordering on allegations of terrorism and treason.
Comrades, this organization belongs to all of us. Therefore, we should do everything possible to safeguard the sanctity of this organization. We therefore thank you very much, and you should be calm and wait for further directives by our leadership. Whatever happens, we will communicate to your leadership, and your leadership will communicate to you. So we urge you to remain calm and go back peacefully to your working place and await further directives.
The unfortunate development is not going down well with the civil society community in the country, as they expressed their concerns.
This is important that police do this in an open and transparent and credible way, so that Nigerians can believe in our security agent and also institution. Failure to do this, Nigerians will continue to create doubts about the integrity of the Nigerian police. The second concern that we have is that Nigerian police is able to mention the NLC president or to accuse him of financing terrorism. But we know terrorism has been going on in Nigeria at least for a decade now, and government has not been able to point out one single person and be able to prosecute that person. But today, because the NLC president is leading a popular struggle and demand to improve the welfare of Nigerian workers, is now being accused of being a terrorist financer.
The NLC has promised to resist the attempt by the police, saying it will not be intimidated. It has put its affiliate unions on alert for a nationwide strike. In Abuja for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
Many thanks, Emmanuel. To discuss this, we're joined by public affairs analyst Moses Idika. Moses, thank you very much for joining us. A lot of allegation of flying here and there. Let me start with, do you agree, or is there evidence to support claims by the labor union that the police wants to silence them?
Yeah, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, and good evening, Nigerians. It is now obvious that Nigeria is becoming every single minute a police state whereby the government, through the instrumentality of the police, the armed police, want to hold everybody to ransom. Today, you realize that the last strike that or not strike, the last protest by Nigerians, every single Nigerian protested. Either you were at home or you were on the streets. People stayed away from their businesses. People stayed away from government offices. And before then, the Labour had called for strike due to the excruciating economic situation that has emasculated the Nigerian worker. Every honest worker in Nigeria today is hungry. If you are able to feed, it means you may be cutting corners or you are stealing from somewhere. But if you are an honest worker, either in the public sector or in the private sector, you definitely, probably, you are hungry.
Moses,
So
do I take it from your submission that you feel there is evidence that the police is trying to silence the labor union? Because that was my original question.
Yeah, yes, the evidence is there that the police is trying, because the labor union is the only union currently that cuts across all the 36 states of Nigeria and the FCT that is speaking for Nigerians who are too hungry to speak out, who are too beaten to stand up. It is only the NLC that is speaking. And the government feels that silencing the NLC by, putting the leader of the NLC, Comrade Joe Ajero, behind bars, would have given them the conquest, because they are obviously out to conquer
Moses, but there are those who will argue that the last End Bad Governance protest was not spearheaded by the NLC. It was a youth and civil society pushed and backed protest. So in the larger scheme of things, do the people depend on the NLC enough to the point that the police is now trying to silence the union?
Yes, the last protest was definitely not spearheaded by NLC. But you understand that the NLC legitimized that protest by raising the alarm that Nigerians have the right to protest. They have the right to voice out. And for a credible organization like NLC to back the people, like I said earlier, it is only the NLC that is currently speaking for Nigerians, because a lot of Nigerians are too busy trying to just eke out a living that they are even confused. When you are hungry, you are confused. You don't know the right decisions to take.
All right.
And it is only the NLC that is helping, that is speaking for Nigerians. So the government is trying to muzzle every Nigerian by muzzling the NLC. And that is why you can see the government trying to tell you that Joe Ajero is a terrorist. I mean,
all right, you've heard your ground. I was going to ask you, just if you can, in 30 seconds, is this a precedent of the police accusing a national labor leader of terrorism? And if yes, financing terrorism, and if yes, is there implication for the relationship, the relationship in whatever form, between the union and the government?
Well, the union is not there to protect the government. The union is there to protect the Nigerian worker, including those in the informal sector. So the union, through Joe Ajero, is doing what they are supposed to do. Every Nigerian worker deserves a living wage. Every Nigerian worker deserves quality service from the government. And that is what the union is doing. And that is why the government is now trying to bring down the union.
All right, Moses, let's just pause the conversation here for now. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
You're welcome.
Let's bring you other stories. Education now. President of the Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities, Professor Emmanuel Osodeke, says the union is displeased with the slow pace of intervention by the education minister in resolving contending issues, including proliferation of universities, integrated personnel and payroll system, alleged poor funding, victimization of staff, and non-release of owed salaries, among others. Sodeke was speaking during a press briefing at the Michael Okpara University of Agriculture, Umudike in Abia State. This comes after the 21-day ultimatum to the federal government to address all outstanding issues concerning the union.
Nigerian universities have continued to sink deeper and deeper into the abyss of arrested growth and underdevelopment. We must note with a sense of responsibility that the pervasive low academic staff morale and the feeling of despondency and diminishing sense of patriotism manifested in the Jagba syndrome, and we're all aware of it, and I've talked about that, are mild sign of bigger crisis within the system. For the uptake time, I should call on the President, Tinubu-led administration, to immediately set in motion the process that will lead to review and signing of the newly breached negotiation agreement for the good of Nigerian people.
And to one of our lead stories tonight, Nigerians continue to call on the government to seek a lasting solution to the looming fuel crisis currently bedeviling the country. In Lagos, long queues could still be seen in front of fuel stations where motorists wait frustratingly in anticipation of buying petrol. News Centre's Bernard Akede was out in Lagos monitoring the situation as it enters the third day.
This is wrong. This is very, very bad. This is wrong.
More frustration and anger on the faces of motorists and customers in Lagos trying to buy petrol as our coverage of the looming scarcity enters day 3. Regardless of how much the stations sell per litre, as long as petrol is available for sale, customers are willing to queue for hours.
It has not been easy at all. I'm just using this medium to plead to the government to consider the masses. It has been a long suffering. How can we go? How long are we going to go about this buying fuel today, then with the little amount you have, and at the end of the day, probably you still have to lose a ton of coming to filling station and queue. At least I've been here since 5 a.m. now. This is, what's this by the time now? This is 10 a.m. and I need to be on my duty to attend to people as well. But it has not been easy. We are using this medium to please, begging the government to consider the masses, to do whatever they can do to help us.
This recent scarcity, which has now lingered off and on for about 6 weeks, has inflicted further hardship on the citizens. Some have complained that the unavailability of petrol and fluctuation of the price has gravely affected their businesses.
Some are selling 900, 950. Yeah, I'll be here almost 1 hour now to get fuel. They have to do something about it. They have to. It's getting out of hand. It's not easy for everybody. It's not easy for us. People that you are carrying, they will not even be able to pay the money, because when you buy fuel of 900, 950, you can't make the money. So almost like a week now, I have not been driving my car. Just park the car at home.
Earlier in the month, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, again attributed the scarcity to distribution and logistic challenges faced in the transfer of the product from mother vessel to daughter vessels. Though the NNPCL further urged motorists to shun panic buying as it was working round the clock with relevant stakeholders to restore normalcy, the situation on the ground suggests that motorists are running out of patience.
Nigerians are now clearly frustrated with this off and on season of petrol availability, or in this case, inavailability. They are asking that regardless of how high the cost goes, they are willing to pay. All they ask is that the product remains steadily available. In Lagos for News Central, I'm Bernard Akede.
On August 21, 2023, President Bola Tinubu swore in his 45-member cabinet with few new ministries, which included the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy. With the ministry's one-year anniversary today, News Centre's maritime correspondent Noma Obi Aswalu asked questions about progress being made in 1 year.
Marine and blue economy is the sustainable use of ocean resources for economic growth to improve livelihoods, create jobs while preserving the health of marine and coastal ecosystem with the capacity to generate a revenue of more than $1.5 trillion per year globally. 30 million jobs and supply vital sources of protein to over 3 million people. Looking at these statistics, the idea of its creation was apt to help drive Nigeria's diversification from a mono economy. The maritime community eagerly awaited the impact of the new ministry Indigenous ship owners in particular had pinned their hopes on Oyetola to rejuvenate their struggling businesses after years of neglect and inconsistent policies. However, 1 year later, those hopes have largely faded. With the stakeholders' engagement in December 2023, it was expected a clear direction of the new ministry, but all that could be recorded as achievements are engagement, PEBEC Award, 2023 Inland Waterways Transportation Regulation, commissioning of security boats, fast-moving pilot boats to replace wooden canoes, dredging inland and coastal waterways. Did this 1 year scorecard meet the expectations of stakeholders upon its creation?
In the last 11 months, in my own very personal opinion, and saying it as if I'm speaking truth to power, the marine and blue economy industry, what I say, that's been run now, we have been treading water. And as far as I'm concerned, there's been a lot of motion, but no movement.
With his pace, stakeholders are unsure of what the next 3 years holds for an industry whose development is expected to reduce Nigeria's reliance on oil exports and increase the contribution of the marine sector to gross domestic products. As the maritime sector marks 1 year under Oyetola's leadership today, the industry is unusually very quiet, with the prevailing mood one of skepticism and frustration. Stakeholders are left questioning whether the much anticipated change will ever come, or if the ministry will continue on its current path of motion without movement. In Lagos, for News Central, Norma Obiaswalo.
Still ahead, former Tunisian presidential hopeful arrested over illegal border crossing. That is after the break. Do stay with us. Glad to know you're still with us. A Tunisian former parliamentarian who tried to stand in upcoming presidential elections before dropping out has been placed in pre-trial detention after allegedly crossing the border with Algeria illegally. Safi Said, a former journalist and a vocal opponent of Tunisian President Kais Saied, was sentenced to 4 months in prison last June for forging ballot signatures in the 2014 presidential elections. A court in western Tunisia ordered the detention of the political activist and a companion of his for illegally crossing the border of a neighboring country. Earlier this year, Said, who is also an author, announced his candidacy for the presidential elections scheduled for October 6 before dropping out of the race and calling the elections a bad pass. Former U.S. President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama have given impassioned endorsement of Kamala Harris on the second night of the Democratic National Convention. They urged voters to back a new chapter with her in back-to-back speeches that electrified the audience in a packed arena in Chicago. Afia Hagen has more.
Barack and Michelle Obama fired up the Democratic National Convention, delivering back-to-back speeches that eviscerated Donald Trump and urged Americans to reject the Republican nominee once and for all. The former First Lady, in one of the most memorable speeches in convention history, called on Democrats to drop the Goldilocks complex and work hard to elect Vice President Kamala Harris.
The dream that our parents and grandparents fought and died and sacrificed for. America, hope is making a comeback.
Then former President Barack Obama, who first gave a speech at the convention 20 years ago that cemented his place in American political consciousness, rewrote the catchphrase that paved the way for his win in 2008.
Yes, she can. Yes, she can.
A Harris-Walz administration can help us move past some of the tired old debates that keep stifling progress. Because at their core, Kamala and Tim understand that when everybody gets a fair shot, we are all better off.
Their speeches closed the night, which Democrats had sought to introduce Harris in more personal terms to Americans who are only now learning about the vice president just a month after she ascended to the top of the party's 2024 ticket. Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff took to the stage and told the story of their relationship and why his children call the vice president Kamala. It set the stage for the two closing nights of the convention. Wednesday night, when the party's vice presidential nominee, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, will take the stage, and Thursday, when Harris will close the gathering as the final sprint to Election Day begins. But before things got serious, Democrats chose Tuesday night to throw a party. The roll call, a traditional of political conventions, was turned into an hour-long primetime mashup led by DJ Cassidy of songs associated with each state, whilst representatives from the state delivered short speeches as they cast their delegates' votes for the vice president. Some of the songs picked were by musicians who are synonymous with their home states, including Eminem, who's from Michigan, Prince from Minnesota, Bruce Springsteen from New Jersey, Jay-Z and Alicia Keys for New York, and P.T. Pablo for North Carolina. It ended with Democrats cutting from the roll call to a live video of Harrison Walz stepping on stage a 90-minute drive north in Milwaukee, where they held a rally. On the next two nights in Chicago, Harrison Walz must begin to answer whether their chummy double act can evolve into a serious electoral movement as their campaign enters a critical new stage. On Wednesday, Walz will be under pressure to make the leap to the national political stage. The next night is Harris's turn, as she seeks to match her transformation of the 2024 campaign with a reinvigoration of her own political reputation after a difficult vice presidency. For News Central, I'm Afia Hagen.
Let's join our business team for today's update.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
In business, we begin in East Africa, where Agriculture and Food Authority (AFA) is advocating a 10% reduction in sugar production by millers and a cut in imports to protect farmers' earnings following a surge in output. Sugar production has reached a record 84,000 metric tons, exceeding domestic consumption by 4,000 metric tons, which has caused ex-factory prices to plummet. Current sugar prices have dropped to 5,128 shillings per 50 kilogram bag, down from 9,500 shillings last year, while cane prices fell from 6,050 shillings to 4,950 shillings per ton. AFA attributes this improved performance to better cane management and government interventions, including subsidized fertilizer. They have also proposed halting sugar imports from COMESA and are considering exports of the surplus, as local prices are currently unappealing. And still in East Africa, Kenya, at least 5.64 million prepaid electricity customers have updated their meters ahead of the month-end deadline. Kenya Power has reminded those who have not completed the update to do so to avoid service interruptions. Managing Director Joseph Siro expressed gratitude to customers who have already participated and urged others to act promptly. The Update Token Meter Yaku campaign, launched in mid-June 2024, allows customers to update their meter software for free. Uganda is currently
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Nigeria international striker Victor Boniface is set to miss a game in Germany for indiscipline, while Portuguese superstar Cristiano Ronaldo has broken yet another record. Udoka Njoko brings us more sports stories.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Nigeria Super Eagles striker Victor Boniface is set to serve a one-match ban in Germany for anti-sporting conduct. Boniface showed Stuttgart players his middle finger after Bayer Leverkusen beat them on penalties in the German Super Cup on Saturday. The Nigerian international was charged after the game by the German Football Federation, and he will also pay a fine of £25,000 for the offence. The 23-year-old striker will be available for Leverkusen's opening Bundesliga match of the season against Borussia Mönchengladbach on Friday, but he will miss a German Cup game. Boniface and Bayer Leverkusen have agreed to the verdict. Manuel Neuer has called time on his international career with Germany following their quarter-final exit at the 2024 European Championship. The 38-year-old goalkeeper won the World Cup with Germany in 2014. Neuer made his international debut for Germany in 2009 and went on to make 124 appearances, featuring at 4 World Cups and 4 European Championships. Neuer follows Toni Kroos, Thomas Müller and Ilkay Gundogan in retiring from Germany's duty in recent months. Neuer's club, Bayern Munich, with whom he has won 11 Bundesliga titles, 2 Champions League, 2 Club World Cup titles, begin their league campaign at Wolfsburg on Sunday. English Premier League side Chelsea have confirmed the signing of Portugal forward João Felix on a permanent transfer from Atletico Madrid shortly after England midfielder Conor Gallagher completed a move in the opposite direction. The 24-year-old signed a 7-year contract at Stamford Bridge as he returns to the club where he made 20 appearances on loan in 2022-2023 season. No transfer fee was revealed for the former Benfica star who made 2 appearances for Portugal at the Euro 2024, but reports stated Chelsea had agreed to pay £40 million to Atletico. Portugal's star Cristiano Ronaldo has launched his YouTube channel and more than 1 million subscribers signed up within the first 90 minutes. A couple of hours after posting his first video, 1.6 million subscribers had joined the newly launched channel. The launch broke the world record for the fastest YouTube channel to hit 1 million subscribers. The 39-year-old 5-time Ballon d'Or winner plays for the Saudi Arabian club Al Nassr and has represented Portugal in international tournaments for more than 2 decades. The former Real Madrid and Manchester United player is preparing for his team's Saudi Pro League opener against Al Raid on Thursday. And that's a wrap on Sport Update. I am Udoka and Joko.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Up next is entertainment.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Tonight on Entertainment News, Nigerian music sensation Stanley Omar Didia, better known as Omale, has unveiled an exciting snippet of his upcoming single, Moving. The preview highlights his exceptional talent, further solidifying his position as one of the standout Afrobeat stars in his generation. Omale's last official release, Holy Ghost, dropped in December 2023, following his debut album, Boy Alone, which featured collaborations with artists like Justin Bieber and Tay Iwa. Initially, the Port Harcourt-born singer announced that Moving would be released on August 23, 2024, but it now appears the track will arrive even sooner than expected. Cristiano Ronaldo, the world's most followed person on social media with 917 million followers, is launching his own YouTube channel called Your. The channel, which debuts on Wednesday, will feature Ronaldo discussing his passion, including soccer, family, wellness, and business, and will include conversations with various guests. Ronaldo expressed excitement about the project, seeing it as a way to connect even more with his fans and share insights into his life and views. Throughout his illustrious career, Ronaldo has achieved numerous records and accolades, including 5 Ballon d'Or awards and 33 trophies. While he's not yet the most followed person on YouTube, that title belongs to Mr. Beast with 311 million subscribers. Ronaldo's channel quickly gained traction, hitting 1 million subscribers in just 1 hour and 29 minutes after launch, setting a new record for the fastest channel to reach the milestone. That's all on Entertainment Tonight.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Moving away from entertainment, let's take a look at what's trending as the hashtag British Army takes center stage concerning the recruitment drive for citizens from the Commonwealth nations, which are countries previously colonized by the British Empire. The application has been made open and applicants will undergo a series of fitness tests. Shortlisted candidates must be prepared to travel to the UK in October for further assessment, with basic training scheduled to begin in January and March 2025. This sparked a lot of conversations on social media. Let's take a look at some tweets. At Gopal class, World War III about to start. As usual, they need us to go to the front lines. They know we are desperate. This is exactly why they ensure we are poor and jobless. For times like this, they've come to the soldiers' farm to collect human tools. This has happened before. Deja vu, SMH. At Horiomi, really, they would need to apply for a visiting visa 6 months all by themselves, all expenses on the applicant. Show proof that they can fund their lifestyle for those 6 months while they go through the employment process. Are they joking? Who in Nigeria will be able to finance themselves for 6 months in the UK and choose to join the army? Really? At Kachi Uchegu, the UK is about to poach our military guys. A new era is upon us. I hope the National Assembly will act swiftly to enact laws preventing our armed forces men from jackpying, the same as how they prevented doctors and nurses from leaving. At Ayo Adain, when someone who doesn't like you and naturally denies you visa and is currently protesting against you in their streets suddenly turns around and invites you to join army, what they did to Nigerian soldiers they used in World War I and World War II can still be found online. That's all on What's Trending.
That's all we have for you tonight. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. The FCT Minister Nyesom Wike has dismissed claims he will quit the People's Democratic Party. Again, ASI has insisted on 21-day strike notice over unfulfilled 2009 agreement. Long queues continue across Nigeria as petrol shortage enters day 3. We also brought you news that former Tunisia's presidential hopeful, Safi Said, has been arrested over illegal border crossing. We'd love to hear from you. Please send your eyewitness report to the number showing now on your screen. You can follow us on social media to do that as well, at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. As always, thank you very much for your kind attention. Have a good night.